Hey everyone, today is the end of day one for 3.19. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to be posting a update video on how I handled the day, what I did, and how I played the builds and what I'm going to be doing in the future. And I guess just my thoughts in general on the season. So we started off by leveling as normal. Had a few hitches while leveling, learned a few things. Most importantly, that you can skip over EO and just immediately go for power charge stacking. I actually ended up going for Forbidden Power as my second lab instead, and just got 2 Storm Prisms and just immediately went for power charges, and it went really well. Swapping immediately to BV on Act 4 felt a bit bad, simply because the AoE of BV was really bad. At level 8, it gets +1 radius, and that really increases the size of it, as well as Unleash feels a bit bad at level 1. The seal frequency is a bit low, and it took me a few levels to pick up some skill duration to make BV feel really good. By the start of Act 6, I started feeling really good. It's just Act 5 felt a bit scuffed, and I've learned that you probably should have waited until you finish Act 5 with a bit more prep to swap, but it works. It's just a bit clunky, but past Act 6 had no problems. This build was doing absolutely wonderful the whole way through. Once we got to Catawba, I did heisting, as I said. I believe it took me anywhere around, I think, like 2 hours to go through all my contracts. I had quite a bit. We got kind of lucky towards the end in how many contracts I found. A lot of my level ups had 4 to 5 contracts in them, and it was really nice. And I think I ended up leaving Heist with around 2 Divines or so, which was about 150 C. I think it was about 100 C in just Rock Chaos, maybe 120 C in Rock Chaos, and then the rest in various currencies. If we look at our guild stash, since this is where I am storing everything, this is what our loots looks like at the end of day 1. I think it's not bad. We have plenty of resources for changing socket colors and sockets in general. We have plenty of re-rolling currency. We're sitting on 22 chaos. I think we did pretty well. I did end up finding a 6-link in Heist pretty early on. Ideally, one of these blue sockets would have been a green, and I decided to use increased critical strikes as my 6-link. For now, tomorrow I would like to get the proper 6-link, which would be 1 red, 3 blue, 2 green, and then run Cold Pen instead. But this is more than fine for now. If anything, this is better for now, since our crit chance isn't the best. I'm trying to get Brittle on my boots. I threw a few Ichors at it, didn't really get lucky. But with Brittle boots and with a few more power charge stacks, it should be pretty easy to be able to get rid of this and still be crit capped. One thing that we learned about today, so these items weren't really in Path of Building, so I wouldn't have been able to see this without thinking about them in the patch notes. We have discovered these 2 items to be absolutely insane. Nicta's Lantern and Divinarius. These reworked weapons are insane. So this is Battle Mage on it now and has a lot of flat fire. This gives us a lot of just flat damage to BV, and BV loves flat damage, so this is just insanely strong, even though it has nothing to do with our build, even though it's fire damage. And then this, I love this dagger. This is my new favorite item in the game for early level, and specifically for this build. Every single stat on it is good. Has spell damage, has 30 life on kill, which is actually quite a significant amount, has 10 mana on kill, which is really nice. We have slight mana problems, but this pretty much takes care of it. It has 10% increased AoE. This makes up for the 2 power charges we lose for not running Storm Prison. 2 power charges gives us 12% AoE. This is 10%, so we lose 2%. Then we get crit chance if we've killed recently. So that's going to make our explosions more consistent while mapping. And then we get crit multi on bosses, which is honestly really good, as boss DPS is going to be the thing that we're going to have the most trouble with. But surprisingly, this build has just skyrocketed. The fact that we have 100% conversion through Harem Sorrow helps us out a lot. And we have been like insta-killing map bosses. I'm only at tier 5 since we spent so much time in Heist, but every single boss I've done up to this point has just instantaneously died. It's been amazing. One other thing that was brought to my attention is Marcus Submission. I have the resistances to be able to put this on, and I put frostbite in it. So I have a budget frostbite on hit ring. Tomorrow, I'm going to go and do Uber Lab and get Profane Bloom. When looking at frostbite on hit rings, there are absolutely none available right now. There's only a few synthesized and implicit ones, and they're like 40, 50 chaos each. And that's not really worth it, especially when I don't need 2 ring sockets right now. So tomorrow, I'll get Uber Lab done. I'll get a proper frostbite on hit ring eventually, and we'll have really nice explosions. Even for now, just as it is, just with this and a blast freeze cluster, this has been really nice. Someone made me this medium. I think this is a very good way of getting blast freeze early on until we can get a large cluster jewel. This is extremely defensive, and it has actually done quite a lot in keeping me alive. You can see when I walk up to packs that as soon as I touch the first mob, everything in the pack freezes. This is like an insane defensive layer on its own. It's very good. This is what my tree looks like. I pretty much followed my build guide pretty close to the T. One thing I forgot to mention, the build guide is to pick up Written in Blood. I don't know how I missed these nodes, but these are 2 very good nodes. Gives you quite a lot of life. And tomorrow I'm planning to respec out of these spell damage points here. Path on the left, get some more points back and start picking up some health. We currently have 3.3k health, which honestly with early blast freeze is more than enough. It's been carrying me pretty hard. And I'll look to maybe get a large cluster jewel tomorrow and maybe start getting some jewel sockets. I am playing with a trader, and I was able to have my trader get me a Blighted Scarab while I was finishing up Heist with the money that we made. So on my first map, I did a Blight with Cassia, and then that unlocked her, and then I was able to put Accept No Performance on my amulets. This is a very cheap anoint. It's just a clear. It's a orange and a black. The black was 3C, the orange was 1C, and then the clear is, unfortunately, was 1C as well, but for 5C, we get skill effect duration, which allowed me to respec out Potency of Will, allowed me to drop all these nodes, and that's where I got my passive points to pick up Blast Free. We're currently just about to be 76. This could have been a lot higher, but we spent a lot of time in Heist, which you don't really get much XP there. For reference, the current highest level is 92, but I definitely feel like if I just immediately went to maps, it could have been maybe 83, 4 by the end today, but we'll be able to catch up pretty quickly. This is what my tree currently looks like. So what I'm doing is I'm going to rush Stream of Consciousness. That would have been the next point I pick up. It's going to give us a lot more content. I path through Shaping the Skies. And next, I think I'm going to go and get Seas and Valleys, since this is just the most amount of increased map sustain we can get instantly. Then path over to Mountains, at which point I'll be ready to block content. So we'll block all the content, pick up more harvest chance, and go from there. If harvest kind of blows, people are saying it's not very good, but if harvest isn't very good, we'll find a contingency plan. We'll probably just respec into essences. With blast freeze and with the amount of damage we're doing, we're actually able to freeze bosses and essences completely, which makes them very safe to do early on. And I guess that'll be our fallback if harvest isn't very good. Outside of that, we've done 1 run of the mirror. Or the new season mechanic. I didn't really touch it until I got to maps, and I did like 1 run. I thought it was pretty good. It was fun. I had 1 node that was like an insane flash breach, and that was kind of fun. I didn't expect that much density in those many mobs. I got like 10 or 15 shards from it, which actually was quite a lot considering it's only like difficulty 4 or 5. I didn't expect much, but gave quite a lot. And I think it's good. A lot of people in my stream did it pretty much all day, and a lot of them said they were getting a lot of money. Some are saying they'll get like drops of 2C, 3C here and there. Someone said I think they ended up in Act 6 with 20C or something like that, which is crazy. I think we're going to experience a lot of it tomorrow on stream, and I'll maybe have a video out on it the next day to give my opinions on it. I think it's going to be insane. People are saying it's good. From my 1 run of it, I wasn't very impressed, but it wasn't very optimized. So I think if I do it better, the loot's going to be great. But I like it. It's very simple. You just, make a map and then you just run it. And there's no thought process. You just kill mobs, and I like those mechanics. Outside of that, tomorrow the goal is to get to tier 16 maps. We can get there pretty quickly. I don't think it'll take me too long. And then from there, we'll start doing our full plan of harvest and heist. See how that goes. Maybe do essences as well. maybe do some delirium, see how that goes. People have asked me what my plans are with this build later on. I'm thinking maybe going magic find later in the week. Who knows? I'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I'm excited for upgrades. I'm excited for getting a new 6-link, getting a new ring, and eventually maybe getting a void battery or an Aegis late tomorrow, maybe a militant faith. We'll see how that goes. Maybe a BV helmet enchant. That's going to be really nice. It'll make this feel a lot more comfy to play. It'll give us like an extra second of duration on BV, which should feel really, really good. And we'll see. But overall, I'm actually impressed with the single target damage of this. It's actually crazy how I'm able to kill bosses in like half a second. Obviously, by the time we get to like yellow maps, it's gonna not really happen anymore. But for now, white map progression is very simple, pretty obvious since we have a 6-link. But yeah, we'll see how tomorrow goes. I'm very excited. If anyone has any questions on anything I talked about, any of my plans for tomorrow, feel free to ask. If you have any questions about the build, if you're playing it yourself, I'll be streaming all day tomorrow as well. Feel free to come by. We had plenty of people today who were playing the build. It was fun to hang out and answer the questions. And yeah, it's fun to progress through this build with other people. Outside of that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.